My father is willing to erase your father's debt entirely. But in return, he wants you and me to get married, and you don't even have a choice unless you want to see your father rot in jail. Adam said to Allison. Allison felt the walls closing in. Her future was being negotiated like a business deal, and she was the closing asset. Allison Miles had always believed she could outrun her family's shadow with hard work, determination, and a white coat stitched with purpose. At 24, she was in her final year of medical school at Columbia, balancing long shifts, endless studying, and dreams bigger than herself. She thought she needed to prove herself to her father, the man who'd never once told her he was proud. Then her phone rang on a Tuesday night while she was studying for her cardiology final. Ali. Her father's voice was tense, almost breaking. I need you to come home. It's important. She hadn't heard that tone in years, not since her mother's funeral when she was 16. The day that changed everything. The day her father became a ghost in his own home. Her stomach twisted with a wave of nausea that made her rush to the restroom. She stayed there for hours, gripping the cold porcelain, trying to figure out what could have happened that made her cold-hearted father call her. He never called. Not for birthdays. Not for holidays. Not even when she'd been hospitalized with pneumonia her sophomore year. Something was terribly wrong. Back at their suburban home in New Jersey, Allison walked into the living room and stopped cold. A tall, suited man with a sharply defined face and styled dark hair stood by the window, hands in his pockets, surveying their backyard like he owned it. Like he owned everything. Her father looked smaller than usual on the couch, shoulders slouched, his expensive shirt wrinkled, something she'd never seen before. Robert Miles was always impeccable, always in control. Allison, he said, rising with a face that looked vague and emotionless, but she could see the tremor in his hands. This is Adam Edison. Adam turned. He was absurdly attractive in that cruel magazine cover way. Polished, cold, and visibly bored, like this entire situation was beneath him. Nice to meet you, he said coolly, his voice smooth as expensive whiskey. I'm sorry, who? Her face silently asking 1,000 questions. Your fiancé, her father blurted out, the words tumbling over themselves. Silence. The grandfather clock in the corner ticked. Once, twice, 3 times. Allison blinked, certain she'd misheard. What? Her father sighed, and suddenly he looked decades older. Allison, I made some mistakes with the company. I borrowed money from the wrong people. Money I thought I could repay. But the market crashed and the investments went south and… Excuse me? She could barely breathe. What are you saying? Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. How much? $300,000. Her breath left her in one sharp exhale. The room tilted. Adam stepped forward, his movements precise and calculated. My father is willing to erase your father's debt entirely. Clean slate. But in return, he wants you and me to get married. Allison stared at him, searching for any sign of a prank, a joke, a hidden camera. There were none. This was real. This was happening. Her hands trembled. You're serious? This is insane. You don't even know me. Tears gathered in her eyes, hot and furious. Adam's expression never changed, carved from marble. Deadly serious. That's when the door opened. Maxwell Chun walked in, her boyfriend of 2 years, his handsome face lighting up until he saw the tension thick in the room. His smile died when he saw Adam, saw the way everyone stood frozen like a photograph. What's going on? His voice was cautious, already sensing disaster. No one spoke. The silence was thick and damning. Maxwell's dark eyes narrowed, moving from Allison's tear-stained face to her father's guilt to the stranger's cold indifference. Ali? Baby, what's happening? Adam answered for her, his tone matter-of-fact. We're getting married. Maxwell took a step forward, his hands clenching into fists. Like hell you are. Adam's tone stayed calm, almost amused. You can fight it if you want, but the paperwork is already being drafted. Lawyers are involved. This is happening. Paperwork. Allison's voice cracked. She turned to her father, desperate. What if I don't want to get married? What if I say no? Adam's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Then your father goes to prison for fraud and embezzlement. The house gets seized. Everything your mother built gets auctioned off to the highest bidder. And you, sweetheart, get to watch it all burn. Don't call her that, Maxwell snapped. Why not? Adam's eyes glittered dangerously. She's about to be my wife. That was the moment Allison realized. Her future was being negotiated like a business deal, and she was the closing asset. Commodity. A bargaining chip in a game she didn't understand and never agreed to play. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. Family is everything, Ollie. We protect each other. No matter what. She looked at her father, truly looked at him for the first time in years, and saw a broken man who'd been trying to hold together the pieces of a life that shattered when cancer took his wife. Who'd poured everything into the company his wife had helped him build, trying to honor her memory, and lost it all anyway. I need time, she whispered. You have 48 hours, Adam said, checking his Rolex. After that, the offer expires and my father pursues legal action. Oh, and one more thing. He pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. This is what your father signed. It's not just debt. He forged documents. Used company funds for personal expenses. Used company funds for personal expenses. There's evidence of tax evasion going back 3 years. Her father's face went white. So it's not just money, Adam continued. It's 15 to 20 years in a federal prison. Think about that before you decide. He buttoned his suit jacket. I'll be in touch. He walked past her, and she caught the scent of expensive cologne and cold ambition. After he left, Maxwell pulled her into his arms. We'll figure this out. We'll find a way. You're not doing this. But even as he held her, Allison felt the walls closing in. That night, Allison couldn't sleep. While Maxwell dozed fitfully on her childhood bed, she sat at her old desk with her laptop, diving deep into the world of Adam Edison. What she found was disturbing. Adam Nathaniel Edison, 29 years old, heir to Edison Enterprises, a real estate empire worth over $3 billion. Harvard MBA, multiple properties across 3 countries, and a reputation that made her blood run cold. The tabloids called him Manhattan's most ruthless bachelor. There were photos of him with different women at every event. Beautiful, sophisticated women who looked like they belonged on runways. But never the same woman twice. Business articles painted a darker picture. He'd orchestrated hostile takeovers of 3 family companies in the past 2 years, dismantling them and selling off the pieces for profit. Employees called him the Iceman because of how cold he was during layoffs. One article from Forbes titled The Edison Doctrine, Profit over People, detailed how he'd shut down a manufacturing plant in Ohio, putting 800 people out of work just to develop luxury condos on the land. But then she found something else. Buried in the archives of a small New Jersey newspaper from 5 years ago, local woman dies in car accident, Edison heir involved. The article was sparse on details, but it mentioned that Adam had been driving when his fiancée, Caroline Mitchell, was killed. He'd been cleared of wrongdoing. She'd had a brain aneurysm that caused the crash. But the comments section was brutal. People blamed him, called him cursed, said anyone who loved him was doomed. Find anything interesting? Allison jumped. Maxwell was awake, watching her from the bed. He's not who I thought, she said quietly. He's a monster, Maxwell corrected. And you're not marrying him. Max. No. He got up, moved to her, took her hands. We'll run away. We'll go to California. I'll defer my residency, you can transfer schools. We'll start over. And my father goes to prison. Your father made his choices. You don't have to sacrifice your entire life for his mistakes. She wanted to believe him. God, how she wanted to believe him. But she kept seeing her mother's smile, hearing her voice. Family is everything. I need to talk to him, Allison said. To Adam. I need to understand why his father is doing this. It's a power play, Maxwell said bitterly. Rich people don't need reasons. But Allison had never been good at accepting things without understanding them first. It was why she'd become a doctor, the need to know, to understand, to fix what was broken. She called the number Adam had left. He answered on the first ring. "I was wondering when you'd call. I want to meet. Just you and me. No lawyers, no fathers. I want the truth." There was a pause. Then, "Bemelman's bar at the Carlisle. Tomorrow night. 7 o'clock. He hung up before she could respond. Maxwell was staring at her like she'd lost her mind. "You're actually meeting him? I need answers. What you need is to tell him to go to hell." But they both knew it wasn't that simple. It never was. Bemelman's bar was exactly the kind of place Adam Edison would choose: elegant, expensive, exclusive. The murals on the walls depicted. Adam was already there, sitting in a corner booth, a glass of something amber in front of him. He stood when he saw her, and she hated that her treacherous body noticed how good he looked in a navy suit with no tie, the top button of his shirt undone. "You came," he said, sounding almost surprised. "I said I would. In my experience, people rarely keep their word." He gestured to the seat across from him. "What are you drinking?" "Nothing. I want answers, not alcohol." A slight smile touched his lips, the first real expression she'd seen from him. "Direct. I like that." "Why?" she demanded. "Why does your father want you married so badly? And why me specifically? I'm nobody. I'm a broke medical student with student debt and a used Honda Civic. Your world and mine don't even exist in the same universe." Adam took a slow sip of his drink, considering her. "My father is dying." Whatever Allison had expected, it wasn't that. "Pancreatic cancer," Adam continued, his voice flat, emotionless. "Stage 4. He has maybe 6 months, probably less. And before he goes, he wants to see me settled. Married. Continuing the Edison legacy." "I'm sorry," Allison said automatically, because she was a doctor and that's what you said. "But that still doesn't explain." "Why you?" Adam leaned back. "My father knew your mother." The world stopped. "What?" "Elena Miles. They were friends in college before she met your father. They stayed in touch over the years. When she got sick, my father helped pay for some of her treatments. Your father never knew." Allison felt like she'd been punched. "You're lying. I have the canceled checks if you want proof." Adam's eyes were steady on hers. "My father loved your mother. Not romantically. When she died, he kept tabs on your family from a distance. He knew about your father's business struggles. Knew about you. So this is what? Some kind of charity? Marrying me off to settle a debt of gratitude to a dead woman?" "No." Adam's voice hardened. "This is my father manipulating both of us to get what he wants before he dies. He manufactured your father's debt. Lent him money through shell companies, then called it all in at once, knowing your father couldn't pay. He wanted to create this exact situation." Allison's head was spinning. "Why would he do that?" "Because I told him I'd never get married." Adam drained his glass and signaled for another. "After Caroline died, I swore I'd never put myself or anyone else through that again. My father decided that was unacceptable. So he found a way to force my hand. Using me. Using both of us." They sat in silence for a moment. The piano player in the corner started a melancholy jazz standard. "You could have told me this from the beginning," Allison said quietly. "Would it have changed anything? You're still trapped. I'm still trapped. At least this way, you don't spend the next year hating me for something I didn't architect. So what? We just accept it? Play along with your dying father's manipulation." Adam leaned forward, and for the first time, she saw something other than cold indifference in his eyes. Something that looked almost human. "Or we turn it around on him." "What do you mean?" "We get married. We play the happy couple. We let him die thinking he won. And then, after a respectable mourning period, we divorce quietly. You get your settlement. I'll make it $500,000, not $200,000. Your father's debt is cleared. You finish medical school without financial worry. And I get my freedom back." "You're talking about lying to a dying man." "I'm talking about surviving his manipulation." Adam's jaw tightened. My father has controlled every aspect of my life since I was born. Who I dated, what I studied, how I run my business. This marriage scheme is just his final play for control. I'm tired of being his puppet. Allison studied him, really looked at him for the first time. Beneath the cold exterior, she saw something familiar. The same trapped desperation she felt. The same feeling of being a chess piece in someone else's game. If I agree to this, she said slowly, I have conditions. Name them. I finish medical school. No interference with my education or career. Done. We maintain separate bedrooms. This is a business arrangement, not a real marriage. Obviously. And when it's over, you help my father rebuild his business. Not just clearing the debt, actually helping him succeed. Adam raised an eyebrow. That's surprisingly generous of you, considering what he's putting you through. He's still my father. Something flickered in Adam's expression, respect, maybe. Agreed. Anything else? My boyfriend has to go. Adam's voice went cold again. If we're doing this, we do it right. No side relationships that could expose the arrangement. It ends with him or the deal is off. Allison felt tears burning behind her eyes. You're asking me to give up everything. I'm giving you an escape plan from an impossible situation. But I need it to be believable. My father's dying, but he's not stupid. If you're sneaking around with your boyfriend, he'll know this is fake and he'll burn your family to the ground out of spite. He's that vindictive? He's a dying man who's run out of time to build the legacy he wants. Yes, he's that vindictive. Allison thought about Maxwell, about their plans for the future, about love and loyalty and all the things she'd believed in before her world turned upside down. But she also thought about her father in a prison jumpsuit, about losing the house where her mother's memory lived in every corner, about the weight of a debt that would crush them all. I need to talk to Maxwell first, she said finally. If you've come this far, thank you for your kindness. Please do well to subscribe to this channel. Click on the notification bell as well to get notified when we drop our intriguing videos. It's your support that helps this community grow. You have until Friday. My father wants an answer. Adam stood, dropped several bills on the table. For what it's worth, I am sorry. You seem like a decent person who's caught in a bad situation through no fault of your own. And you're not, she challenged. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I stopped being decent a long time ago, Allison. Don't make the mistake of thinking otherwise. He left her sitting there, surrounded by whimsical murals and the lingering scent of expensive cologne, wondering how her life had become a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. Breaking up with Maxwell was the hardest thing Allison had ever done. They met at their favorite coffee shop in the village, the place where he'd first asked her out 2 years ago, where everything had been simple and full of possibility. He knew the moment he saw her face. You're going to do it, he said flatly. You're going to marry him. Max. Don't. His voice cracked. Don't explain. Don't justify. Just tell me the truth. Do you have feelings for him? What? No. I barely know him. Then why? We could fight this together. We could. My father goes to prison, Max. Everything my mother built gets destroyed. I can't. Her voice broke. I can't let that happen. So you're sacrificing us instead. It's not forever. The marriage is temporary. A year, maybe 2, and then what? Maxwell's eyes were red. We just pick up where we left off? Like nothing happened? Like you didn't choose duty over love? I'm choosing survival. You're choosing martyrdom. He stood abruptly, nearly knocking over his chair. You know what the worst part is? I understand. I hate it, but I understand. That's what makes this so goddamn Allison unfair. Was crying now, not even trying to hide it. I love you. Not enough. The words were simple, devastating. If you loved me enough, you'd choose me. You'd find another way. But you're just like your father. So obsessed with duty and obligation and protecting the family name that you can't see what you're destroying. That's not fair. None of this is fair. His voice rose, drawing stares from other customers. He lowered it with visible effort. I've supported you through everything. Every late night studying. Every panic attack before exams. Every time your father made you feel like you weren't good enough. I was there. And the first time things get hard, you choose a stranger over me. He's offering a way out. He's offering a cage. A gilded cage with $1 million price tag, but still a cage. Maxwell grabbed his jacket. You want to do this? Fine. But don't ask me to wait around while you play house with your billionaire husband. I deserve better than being your backup plan. Max, please. Goodbye, Allison. He walked out without looking back. She sat there for an hour, crying into cold coffee, feeling the weight of her choice crushing her chest. People stared. She didn't care. When she finally left, she found a text from Adam. Decision. She typed one word. Yes. His response came immediately. Friday. City Hall. 2 p.m. Wear white if you want. I don't care. So romantic, she thought bitterly. She spent the next 2 days moving through life like a ghost. Went to classes but didn't hear the lectures. Did her rotations but the patients' faces blurred together. Maxwell wasn't answering her calls, and she couldn't blame him. Her father tried to thank her. She couldn't look at him. "Ali," he said the night before the wedding. "I know I don't say it enough, but I'm proud of you. Your mother would be." "Don't." Her voice was sharp as glass. "Don't you dare bring her into this. She would be horrified at what you've done. What you're making me do." "I never meant. You never mean to. But somehow I'm always the one paying for your mistakes." She grabbed her purse, headed for the door. "I'm staying at a hotel tonight. I'll see you at City Hall tomorrow." "Allison." She slammed the door on whatever excuse he was about to make. City Hall in Manhattan was not where Allison had imagined getting married. She'd always pictured something small but beautiful. Maybe a garden wedding. Maxwell in a tux, looking at her like she was his whole world. Their friends and family celebrating love. Not this. Not standing in a sterile government office in a white dress she'd bought on sale. About to marry a man she barely knew and definitely didn't love. Adam was already there when she arrived, looking devastatingly handsome in a charcoal suit. His father was with him, Richard Edison, looking frail in a wheelchair but with eyes still sharp as knives. "You must be Allison," Richard said, his voice surprisingly strong for a dying man. "You look just like your mother." She didn't know what to say to that. Her father arrived moments later, looking haggard. The only other witness was a woman in her 50s who Allison didn't recognize. "My assistant, Margaret," Adam explained. "We need witnesses for the paperwork." How romantic. The clerk who married them was efficient and bored, rattling through the standard vows like she'd done this 1,000 times before, which she probably had. "Do you, Adam Nathaniel Edison, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." Flat. Emotionless. "Do you, Allison Marie Miles, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" She looked at Adam, really looked at him, saw nothing but cold resignation. "This is my life now," she thought. "This is what I chose." "I do. You may kiss the bride." Adam leaned in, gave her the briefest brush of lips against lips. It meant nothing, felt like nothing. The clerk stamped the papers. "Congratulations. You're married." Richard Edison was the only one who looked happy. After the ceremony, Richard insisted on taking them to lunch at FShe, one of the most expensive restaurants in New York. Allison sat there in her cheap white dress, surrounded by luxury she'd never experienced, feeling like an imposter. "To new beginnings," Richard said, raising his glass. No one else drank. "Come now," Richard continued. "You're newlyweds. You should look happier." "We're thrilled," Adam said dryly. "Can't you tell?" "Adam." Richard's voice carried a warning. "What do you want me to say, Dad? That I'm overjoyed you manipulated us both into this farce? That I'm grateful you're using your last months on Earth to control my life one final time?" The table went silent. Richard's face went red. "I'm trying to save you from yourself. After Caroline, you shut down. You turned into a machine. I'm dying, Adam. And I can't leave this world knowing my son will spend the rest of his life alone. That was my choice to make. And it was the wrong choice. Enough. Allison's voice cut through the tension. Both men turned to her. Mr. Edison, I appreciate whatever affection you had for my mother. But what you've done to Adam, to me, to my father, it's not love. It's manipulation. And calling it anything else is a lie. Richard stared at her, stunned. However, she continued, her voice steady despite her shaking hands, what's done is done. Adam and I are married. We'll honor the arrangement. But don't expect us to pretend we're grateful for it. She stood, dropped her napkin on her untouched plate. I need air. She walked out of the restaurant before anyone could stop her. Adam found her 5 minutes later, standing on the street corner, trying not to cry. That was quite a speech, he said. Your father is dying. I probably shouldn't have. No. He needed to hear it. Adam stood next to her, hands in his pockets. No one talks to Richard Edison like that. I think you might be the first person in 30 years to tell him the truth. Lucky me. For what it's worth, you're right. This whole thing is manipulation. I'm sorry you got dragged into it. She looked at him, this stranger she just married. Are we really going to do this? Live together? Pretend to be in love. We don't have to pretend to be in love. Just civil. Respectful. He pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. This is your new home. The penthouse was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Modern furniture that probably cost more than her entire education. Space that seemed to go on forever. It's beautiful, she admitted. It's empty, he corrected. But you can change that if you want. Decorate however you like. I'm never there anyway. What do you mean? I work 80-hour weeks. I travel constantly. You'll barely see me. He put his phone away. Which should make this arrangement easier. Don't you think? She didn't know if that made it better or worse. I had Margaret move your things from your apartment this morning, Adam continued. Your room is ready. We'll need to make a few public appearances over the next few weeks to satisfy my father. But otherwise, live your life. Finish school. I won't interfere. Just like that? We're roommates who happen to be married. Essentially. And what about? She hesitated. What about other people? His eyes went cold. If you mean your ex-boyfriend, I already told you. I mean you. I saw the tabloids. You had a different woman every week before this. Are you expecting me to just look the other way while you? I'm married now, he said flatly. I may not have chosen it, but I don't break vows. Even ones made under duress. I expect the same from you. So we're both supposed to be celibate for however long this lasts? Unless you're suggesting we sleep together, then yes. That's exactly what I'm suggesting. The way he said it, clinical, matter-of-fact, made it clear he had zero interest in that possibility. Fine, she said. Roommates it is. Roommates, he agreed. They shook hands like business partners closing a deal. This is my marriage, Allison thought. This is what I sold my soul for. She wondered if her mother would be proud or heartbroken. Probably both. The penthouse was even more intimidating in person. Adam gave her a brief tour. Her room, larger than her entire previous apartment. Her bathroom, marble and gold fixtures. The kitchen, she'd never seen appliances that expensive. The living room, minimalist furniture that looked uncomfortable. His office, door always closed. And his room at the far end, door definitely always closed. My housekeeper, Marina, comes 3 times a week, he explained. She'll handle cleaning, laundry, groceries if you give her a list. If you need anything, tell her or Margaret. Not you. I'm rarely here, remember? Right? The 80-hour work weeks. He checked his watch. Speaking of which, I have a meeting in 20 minutes. Make yourself at home. Try not to burn the place down. And then he was gone. Allison stood in the massive living room, surrounded by luxury she'd never dreamed of, and felt utterly alone. She unpacked slowly, trying to make her small collection of belongings fill the enormous closet in her room. Her clothes looked pathetic next to the designer pieces Adam had apparently had Margaret buy for her. Cocktail dresses, elegant blouses, shoes that cost more than her monthly grocery budget. There was a note. For public appearances. You're an Edison now. Dress like it. She wasn't sure if she should be grateful or insulted. That night, she ordered takeout and ate alone at the massive dining table, watching the sun set over Central Park through windows that made her feel exposed despite being 20 stories up. Adam didn't come home. The next morning, she woke to find a note on the kitchen counter. Had to fly to Boston. Back Thursday. It was Monday. This was her life now. Alone in a palace, married to a ghost. She threw herself into her studies. Her rotations at the hospital became her refuge, the only place where she felt like herself, where she had purpose and meaning beyond being a pawn in Richard Edison's dying wish. Her classmates noticed the ring. "Oh my God, Ollie. When did this happen?" Sarah, her study partner, grabbed her hand. "Who's the lucky guy? Is it Maxwell?" No. We broke up." "What? When? You guys were perfect together." "It's complicated." "So who?" Sarah's eyes went wide as she Googled the name on Allison's new credit card, the one Margaret had given her. "Wait, you're married to Adam Edison? The billionaire?" And just like that, everything changed. Suddenly, her classmates looked at her differently. Some with envy, some with suspicion, some with the kind of calculating interest that made her skin crawl. The rumors started immediately. She'd been a secret girlfriend for months. She was pregnant. She'd trapped him. He'd rescued her from poverty. Each story more elaborate than the last. None of them true. The hospital staff treated her differently too. Attendings who'd barely noticed her before suddenly remembered her name, asked about her career plans, mentioned prestigious residency programs where they had connections. She hated it. The only person who treated her the same was Dr. Helena Reeves, the chief surgical resident who'd been mentoring her. "I don't care who you married," Dr. Reeves said bluntly when Allison tried to explain. "I care if you can save lives." "Can you?" "Yes." "Then get back to work and stop worrying about gossip. Medicine doesn't care about your tax bracket." It was the most comforting thing anyone had said to her in weeks. Adam returned on Thursday as promised. She was studying when she heard the door open late at night. He looked exhausted, tie loosened, hair disheveled. "You're still up. Exam tomorrow." He nodded, moved to the kitchen, poured himself a drink. "How was your week?" "Lonely." "Yours?" "Profitable." He took a long sip. "My father wants us to have dinner with him on Saturday, at his estate. Can you make it?" "Do I have a choice?" "Not really." "Then I'll be there." They stood in awkward silence. "There's a charity gala next month," Adam said finally. "The Edison Foundation's annual fundraiser. I need you there." "Playing the devoted wife?" "Playing the wife. Devotion is optional." "How romantic." He almost smiled. "I never promised romance." "No, you promised money and freedom. Just not yet." "Exactly." He set down his glass. "I'm going to bed. Good night, Allison." "Good night, Adam." He disappeared into his room, and she was alone again. This became their routine. He'd leave for days at a time, come home exhausted. They'd exchange pleasantries like polite strangers. He'd disappear into his room or his office. She studied, did her rotations, slept in a bed that cost more than a car, and tried not to think about Maxwell or love or the life she'd given up. Richard Edison's estate was in the Hamptons, a sprawling mansion that looked like something out of a movie. Allison wore one of the designer dresses Margaret had bought, feeling like an imposter in borrowed finery. Adam had driven them out in his Aston Martin, barely speaking the entire 2-hour drive. "Remember," he said as they pulled up to the house, "he's dying. He gets emotional. Just go along with whatever he says. Even if it's insane? Especially if it's insane." Richard was waiting in the formal dining room, looking friendlier than he had at the wedding but with that same sharp intelligence in his eyes. "My children," he beamed as they entered. "Come sit. Dinner is ready." They sat. A team of servers brought out course after course of food Allison couldn't identify but was clearly expensive. "So," Richard said, "how's married life treating you both?" "It's an adjustment," Allison said carefully. "I imagine so. Adam's not the easiest man to live with. Too much like his old man, I'm afraid. Stubborn. Workaholic. Emotionally constipated. Dad. Adam's jaw tightened. What? It's true. Richard laughed, then coughed. A deep, rattling sound that spoke of the cancer eating him from the inside. When he recovered, his eyes were watering. But you'll be good for him, Allison. I can see it. You've got spirit. Like your mother. You keep mentioning my mother, Allison said. But you've never really explained how you knew her. Richard's expression softened. Elena was special. We met in college. I was pre-law, she was pre-med. We were study partners for a philosophy course. She was brilliant, kind, had this way of seeing the best in people even when they couldn't see it in themselves. Did you love her? The question was out before Allison could stop it. Adam's head whipped toward her. Richard was quiet for a long moment. Yes, not romantically. I'd already met Adam's mother by then. But I loved her as a person, as a friend. She had this light about her that made everyone around her want to be better. He paused. When I heard she was sick, I tried to help. Quietly, without your father knowing. His pride wouldn't have allowed it. Why didn't you just give my father the money he needed? Allison asked, anger creeping into her voice. Why this elaborate scheme? Because I'm a selfish man who wanted to see my son settled before I die, Richard said bluntly. And because I knew Adam would never willingly get married again after Caroline. He needed a push. A push. Allison's voice rose. You destroyed my father, manipulated both of us, and you call it a push? Ollie, Adam warned. No. She stood, throwing her napkin on the table. I've been quiet. I played along. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend this is okay. She turned to Richard. You had no right. Whatever you felt for my mother, she would have been disgusted by what you've done in her name. The room fell silent except for the ticking of an antique clock. Richard's face had gone pale. You're right. Everyone stared at him. You're absolutely right, he continued, his voice breaking. Elena would be ashamed of me. She always said love should never come with chains. And here I am, shackling both of you to each other out of fear and selfishness. He looked at Adam. I'm sorry, son. I thought I was helping. I thought... He coughed again, harder this time. A nurse materialized from somewhere, helped him with his breathing. When Richard could speak again, his eyes were wet. I'm going to die knowing I hurt the people I love most. That's my legacy. Not the buildings. Not the money. Just pain. Allison felt her anger deflate, replaced by something more complicated. Pity, maybe, or just exhaustion. Mr. Edison, she said quietly. What's done is done. Adam and I are married. We'll honor the arrangement. But please, no more manipulation. No more schemes. Just let us figure this out on our own terms. Richard nodded weakly. I promise. The rest of dinner was subdued. They left shortly after, Richard clearly exhausted. 3 months into the marriage, Allison was starting to find a rhythm. She'd learned to be alone without feeling lonely. Threw herself into her work. Made friends with Marina, the housekeeper, who taught her to cook proper meals instead of surviving on takeout. Adam still traveled constantly, but when he was home, they developed a comfortable routine. Coffee together in the mornings. Sometimes dinner if their schedules aligned. Conversations that were surprisingly easy once they stopped trying so hard. Then Victoria Ashford walked into their lives. It was at the Edison Foundation Gala, the charity event Adam had mentioned months ago. Allison wore a stunning emerald gown that Margaret had selected, her hair professionally styled, looking every inch the billionaire's wife. Adam actually smiled when he saw her. You look beautiful. It was the first compliment he'd ever given her. She tried not to read into it. The gala was overwhelming. Hundreds of Manhattan's elite, champagne flowing like water, diamond jewelry that could fund small countries. Allison felt like an imposter despite her expensive dress. Adam stayed close, his hand on her lower back, introducing her to people whose names she'd never remember. Playing the devoted husband surprisingly well. Then a woman approached. Tall, blonde, devastating in a red dress that looked painted on. Her smile was predatory. "Adam Edison," she purred. "Long time no see." Adam's entire body went rigid. "Victoria, aren't you going to introduce me to your wife?" The pause before wife was deliberate, mocking. "Allison, this is Victoria Ashford." "Victoria, my wife, Allison." Victoria's eyes swept over Allison, assessing and dismissing in one glance. "How sweet. You finally got married. I never thought I'd see the day. What are you doing here?" Adam's voice was cold. "My father's on the foundation board, darling. You know that." She touched his arm, a casual intimacy that spoke of history. "Catch up. It's been, 6 months since Prague." "Prague. 6 months ago. Before their marriage." Allison's stomach twisted. "I don't think that's necessary," Adam said, removing her hand. "Oh, don't be like that. I'm sure your wife won't mind if we have one little dance. For old time's sake." Victoria's smile was cruel. "Unless you haven't told her about us?" "There is no us," Adam said firmly. "There hasn't been for a long time. Is that why you called me from Prague? Drunk and alone in your hotel room?" Victoria leaned in, whispered something Allison couldn't hear. Adam's jaw clenched. "Excuse us," he said to Allison, and practically dragged Victoria away. Allison stood there, surrounded by strangers, feeling like the biggest fool in the world. Older woman approached, sympathy in her eyes. "Don't mind Victoria, dear. She's always been possessive of Adam, even when she has no right to be." "Who is she?" Allison asked. "His ex-girlfriend. On and off for years. Some people thought they'd end up married." The woman patted Allison's hand. "But he chose you. That must count for something. Did it? Or was she just the convenient solution to his father's ultimatum?" Allison watched across the room as Adam and Victoria argued in heated whispers. Victoria kept touching him, his arm, his chest, his face. Adam kept backing away, but Victoria followed like a predator stalking prey. Finally, Adam said something sharp. Victoria's face went red. She threw her champagne in his face and stormed off. Adam returned, dabbing at his soaked suit jacket with a napkin, looking furious. "Want to tell me what that was about?" Allison asked. "Not particularly. Adam, can we not do this here?" His voice was tight. "Please." They suffered through the rest of the gala in tense silence. In the car ride home, Allison finally snapped. "Were you sleeping with her? Before the marriage?" Adam's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "That's not relevant." "The hell it's not. If you're still involved with her." "I'm not." "Then why did she mention Prague? Why did she act like you two have this secret history?" "Because Victoria lives in a fantasy world where we're going to end up together someday." "We're not. We never were." "But you were together?" He sighed. "Yes, years ago. And occasionally we'd reconnect when we were in the same city. It was casual. Meaningless. 6 months ago wasn't years ago. 6 months ago I was drunk and angry about my father's cancer diagnosis and I made a mistake. Called her. We talked. Nothing happened." She made it sound like, Victoria makes everything sound like more than it is. It's what she does. Adam pulled into their building's garage, killed the engine. "Look, I know this arrangement isn't ideal, but I'm not cheating on you. I told you I don't break vows. Even vows made under duress? Especially those. They're the only kind I've ever made." They rode the elevator up in silence. But that night, Allison couldn't sleep. She kept seeing Victoria's possessive touches, her cruel smile, the easy intimacy of someone who knew Adam in ways Allison never would. She found herself in the kitchen at 2 a.m., stress-baking cookies like she used to do in medical school. Adam emerged from his office, still in his dress shirt and pants from the gala, tie abandoned somewhere. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked. "Apparently not." He leaned against the counter, watching her work. "I'm sorry about Victoria. She's complicated." "Were you in love with her?" "No. It was never like that." "Then what was it like?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Convenient. Easy. We both knew it didn't mean anything, so neither of us could get hurt. Sounds lonely. It was. He grabbed a cookie from the cooling rack. After Caroline died, I couldn't do feelings anymore. Caring about someone, loving them, opens you up to losing them. I couldn't survive that again. So you just decided to feel nothing? I decided to protect myself. He met her eyes. Victoria was part of that. She wanted status and connections. I wanted distraction. It worked until it didn't. When did it stop working? About 6 months ago in Prague, when I called her drunk and realized I was more alone with her than I ever was by myself. He took another cookie. These are good, by the way. Thanks. Stress baking is my therapy. What are you stressed about? Besides the obvious. She laughed, but it came out bitter. Where do I start? I'm married to a stranger. My ex-boyfriend won't return my calls even though I just want closure. Medical school is kicking my ass. And tonight I met your gorgeous ex-girlfriend who clearly wants you back and made me feel like a cheap placeholder. You're not a placeholder. Then what am I? The question hung in the air between them. Adam set down his cookie, his expression unreadable. I don't know yet, but you're not nothing. And you're definitely not cheap. It wasn't exactly a declaration of affection, but it was something. They stayed in the kitchen until sunrise, eating cookies and talking about nothing and everything. About Caroline and how she died. About Elena and the mother Allison still grieved. About medical school and the pressure of being an Edison. By the time the sun came up, something had shifted between them. Not love, not even friendship yet, but maybe the beginning of understanding.